It's not often we get to review an entry-level version of a manufacturer's model, so when Kia contacted us and said it had just that on fleet, we thought we'd give it a try, and here it is. It is the base spec version of the facelifted Sportage, £30,855 worth of Britain's best-selling SUV with not a single option other than £675 worth of dark Penta metal paint, which gives it all the glamour of a dull winter's day. And so in this CarGurus UK review, we are going to see what the base spec gets you and what it doesn't. First things first, this model doesn't get Kia's hybrid drivetrain, and we won't be able to show you all the fancy equipment you get on top spec versions. If that's more your bag, check out Vicky's review of the Sportage HEV, which is linked in the description. This generation of Sportage has been around since 2022, and as I alluded to in the intro, it has been a smash hit for Kia. It vies with the Ford Puma as Britain's best-selling car, and it accounts for around 35 to 40% of Kia's UK sales, and is actually its best-selling model in Europe and globally as well. All of which is to say, you're not going to mess with the design too much, are you? Which is why it doesn't look very different from the pre-facelift model. The changes are, it has a bigger grille now. It also, the headlight design, the daytime running lights, rather than sort of boomeranging that way, they boomerang that way, and the projectors themselves are stacked vertically. It has a bit slightly different trim on the lower side of the doors, and it has a bit of a sharper crease in the back. But it is not a night and day difference to the pre-facelift model. As for things that are specific to the entry-level model, we have the door mirror casings are body coloured and not gloss black. The grille and wheel arch trims are matte black rather than gloss. The skid plates are silver rather than chrome. The bumpers are black instead of being body coloured. The roof rails are silver rather than black, and there is no privacy glass for the rear windows. When you put it like that, you might start to feel a sense of FOMO, but actually, even without the chrome and the gloss black, the Sportage still looks very smart, very modern. It doesn't look like a base spec car, basically, and it keeps a lot of the really important features that you're going to want in a family SUV. So this boot, 591 litres, this is a really good sized boot. You still get storage under the floor here, you get a nice flat loading lip, and if you want a bit more space, it's actually very easy just to lower that. It doesn't get you loads more space, but it does get you a bit more. You still get some hooks here in the back, which are handy, and you still get 40-20-40 split folding rear seats, which you can just drop as easily as that. So we already know that this generation of Sportage is a very practical family SUV, and this entry-level Pure model is no different. So lots of legroom, lots of headroom. You still get all the pockets and hooks and stuff that you would want in a family car. You still get the central armrest with a couple of cup holders here. The seat backs can be adjusted, the angle of them, which is a really nice touch in an entry-level model. And get this, as well as some air vents here, no temperature controls, but you do get the air vents. You also get USB-C chargers in the back of the seats, which are super handy for keeping devices topped up. It's the entry-level model. I know it's still £31,000, so it's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but it just feels really good. The cloth on this feels fine. Yes, there's some slightly scratchy plastics up here, but overall, it just doesn't feel like a budget car in the slightest. Another nice thing about this pure spec car is, look, keyless entry and power folding mirrors, not things you would traditionally associate with the base spec in a model range, but you get them here. It's the same story in the front. So yes, of course, you still have the cloth seats, you still have some slightly scratchy plastics. I mean, that is a little bit padded actually, but overall this just doesn't feel basic in any way. So you get leather covered steering wheel that obviously adjusts for reach and for height as well. The driving position is very good. You still get height adjustment on the driver's seat and electric lumbar adjustment as well, so getting comfortable is nice and easy. Lots of screens here, obviously. You get auto LED lights, auto wipers. You can also see, I'll fire this up, reversing camera, front and rear parking sensors. This camera is really quite decent resolution. Again, it just all hangs together really well. Keyless go, obviously. The only two things that I think give away the fact that this is missing out on any kind of equipment are, one, there's no heated seats, just a lovely panel of blank buttons here. And instead of an automatic gearbox, you get 3 pedals and this thing here. How strange. Don't worry though, you do still get an electronic handbrake that's operated down here. As with any Sportage, in-car storage is excellent. There's a tray for your phone or wallet, a couple of cup holders, slightly slim door bins, more storage under the armrest and a big glove box. So every Sportage now gets this 12.3-inch central infotainment screen, wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. You don't get wireless phone charging in this, but you do get a couple of USB-Cs down here, hence why I've got my wire. This system is pretty great actually. So you flick between ventilation and menu shortcuts down here, and then it all responds super quick. The graphics are good, works really well. Now the dial setup is not as good as you get on the flagship GT Line S Sportage. With that you get another 12.3-inch fully configurable screen. With this one you have this smaller, I think it's a 4.2-inch display here. It's full colour. Actually works really well, it looks really smart. You can flick between different trip computer functions, and when the car is running you get these digital rev counter and speedo, and because they're digital it actually all looks pretty seamless. So even though it's a more basic setup, it does all flow quite nicely. It looks quite high tech and smart. Now despite being the base model in the range, you do get lots of active safety equipment, which is obviously a good thing to have lots of active safety equipment. If you don't want the speed limit warnings or the lane keeping assist, which you might not on a country road where it might not know the speed limit or it might push you into lane, it's very easy to turn them off. So the speed camera or the speed road sign speed recognition you just turn off by holding the volume button, and then the lane keeping assist you hold down the lane keeping assist button and that does it all for you. And then we can set off without the fear of beeps and bongs and the steering trying to drag us into the hedge. Right, so entry-level car, entry-level engine in the range. Now you might assume that means some wheezing petrol engine that's underpowered, but actually no. This is a 1.6 and it has a turbocharger. So it actually has 147 horsepower, 250 newton meters of torque. So it'll get you from 0 to 62 in 9.7 seconds, which in a family SUV is fine. And I think more tellingly, because it's got a turbo, you do from about 2,500 RPM, you get a decent bit of shove. So it feels quick enough, it really does feel quick enough. And it's only if you really wring it out that it does start to get a bit strained, but you're not really going to drive this car like that. You're more just going to be cruising along, at which point it's actually quite effortless, it's quiet, it's very refined. I think the engine is good. In terms of fuel economy, the petrol engine's official 39.8 miles per gallon can't match the Sportage Hybrid's 50.4 miles per gallon. In our tests in this petrol model, we've seen 35 to 40 miles per gallon, which is respectable enough given the car's size and performance, if not anything to write home about. So you can only have this specification of Sportage with front-wheel drive. Other models higher up in the range, you do have the option of all-wheel drive. Now, whether that matters or not to you isn't so much about the extra grip it gives you in day-to-day driving, but it's probably more if you're going to tow, you're going to want all-wheel drive. If you're worried about winter driving, putting a set of all-season tyres on a front-wheel drive Sportage is going to get you through most things. Now, the ride on this car, this one's on 17s, is actually excellent. It rides so well, and in fact, even if you go for a higher spec model on the bigger wheels, the Sportage still rides really well. It's one of the very good things about this car, and it handles neatly as well. It turns in neatly, it has lots of grip. It's just not like a wow, I'm really enjoying driving this car in a fun way sort of thing, but more, wow, I'm really impressed with how well this car drives. It just feels really grown up, really competent. It has the edge on a Hyundai Tucson in this regard, and actually I'd say is one of the best all-rounders in its class in terms of ride and handling. The brakes are also reassuringly strong and easy to modulate. There is one thing in this particular Sportage that doesn't feel as polished as the rest of the car, and it's this. It's the manual gearbox. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. This is not a bad manual gearbox. I would say it's just a little bit clunky. It's not the best manual, and when you're going for a manual gearbox these days when autos tend to be the norm, You're generally doing it because it's going to be more fun to drive. It's going to engage you more in the driving experience. And in the Kia, it's just not that kind of gearbox. It's very functional. It's just not particularly satisfying. And so really, if you're going for a Sportage, it's hard to think that you wouldn't want the automatic, because Kia's Autos, it's a 7-speed dual clutch in this manual, in this petrol engine. It's really good. Unfortunately, however, it isn't as simple as ordering a base spec Pure Sportage and ticking the option for an automatic gearbox, because that is not a combination that Kia offers. No, if you want a base spec Sportage but with an automatic gearbox, well, I'm afraid you can't. You either have to keep this 1.6 turbo petrol engine and go to a GT line trim, or keep the Pure specification, so the entry-level specification, but have the hybrid drivetrain, which gets an automatic gearbox as standard. Either way, you're adding about £5,000 to the cost of your Sportage. And that, to me, feels like a little bit of a sore point in this, because it's almost like you're being forced to upgrade. You can't just spend like an extra £1,500 and keep everything else the same apart from the gearbox. You have to go up quite a level, which is even more difficult given the level of competition this car now has, particularly with newer Chinese SUVs, which might come as plug-in hybrid or have more equipment for the same or less. Now, of course, if you're paying on monthlies, the figures might not look so bad, but even so, it does feel like, you know, this is a really well-rounded, almost compromise-free SUV. And while it's good with a manual, really good with a manual in fact, it's even better with an auto, and I think that's the one you'd want. Would you consider a brand new Sportage without an automatic gearbox? Is there anything else you'd like to see included in the entry-level specification? Let us know, and please do remember to subscribe to the channel, as well as heading to cargurus.co.uk when it comes time to find your next car.